Hey there, Aubrey. How's it going today?
I'm great, Lindsay. How are you?
Good, but I do have a question for you today to kick off the episode. You
All
ready?
right. Yes, let's hear it.
So, Aubrey, I think you're a swimmer, right? So, how far can you
Yes.
swim?
Oh, quite a ways. Probably a mile, maybe 2 miles.
Well, that's actually far. I mean,
Yeah.
you must be in good shape, right? Because swimming
Decent.
is exhausting.
It is
Exhausting.
exhausting, right? I've
Yeah.
tried to like swim across a lake, which the difficult thing I think about distance swimming is the fear. Like if you're in the middle of a lake
Oh
and there's no
gosh.
boat, right?
Yes.
You can't panic because you could
I
drown.
know.
Yeah,
Well, it's
kind of
the whole
crazy.
story of, do you remember the story of I think it's Diana Nyad who did the swim. She tried,
Yes.
was it around the world that she was trying? No, where was
No,
she
it
trying
was
to swim?
from Cuba to
Cuba
Florida.
to Florida. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
across. I
yes,
just saw there's a film that won all kinds or was at least nominated for all
yes,
kinds of awards with Jodie Foster and Annette Bening. Did you
yes.
see the
That's the
film? It was
one.
amazing.
Yeah, I saw it. It's a great movie. It's a
It's
great
so good.
movie.
You guys should watch it. I think it's just called Naiad, right?
Talk about someone, yeah, Nyad. Talk about someone with, I don't know, stick to itiveness, right?
Seriously. I definitely couldn't swim that far. It's amazing. And then she's getting stung by a jellyfish or stinger. Like
Oh,
she was so yeah,
but
she was
she's
amazing.
but she's so dead set on her goal. So that's another topic for
Right.
another day. But I like what you said here, Aubrey, for today's episode. I asked you how far you can swim. You said quite a ways, probably a mile. Now, interesting that you said
This
quite a ways.
That's a very native chunk, right? To say quite
Mhm.
a ways. It sounds probably kind of strange. This
Mhm.
word ways is very flexible in English. It means a
Yeah.
lot of different things. It came up, I was listening to the episode 2316, and I said, oh, you'd be scrolling back in the feed quite a ways to find an episode.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
use this a lot of different ways in English, and I'm excited to dive into this today.
Me too. But first, before we get into it, guys, hit the follow button now. Make sure you're following All Ears English because that way we'll just drop right into your queue. So hit follow. All right, Aubrey, I'm excited to get into it. So there are three or four ways we say ways,
Yeah.
right?
And these are all separate from just, the regular ways when you're
Way.
like, how many ways can you do this? That's different. These are chunks where we're using ways to talk about distance. So this
Yeah.
first one that we used already, quite a ways, just means really far, a great
Mhm.
distance.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that we clarify the spelling because this is also separate from that amazing app that you use when you try to figure out
Right.
the best way to get to the grocery store during traffic times, right? It's not Waze, the app, Waze, but it is Ways, and we have the article A. Quite a ways, Ways. Okay.
Exactly. So and is separate. And ways. You guys definitely need the transcripts for
We
this
need the
episode, I think.
transcripts. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm looking at our notes, I'm thinking, wow, that might be confusing for our
Yeah.
listeners, right?
For sure. Let's give some examples here, though. You could say she ran quite a ways before running out of breath. It just means
Yes.
she ran really far.
Or that mountain is quite a ways from here. And what I'm saying is it seems far away from here,
Yep,
right?
it's at a great distance, right? But that's
Mhm.
so much more formal to say that mountain is a great distance from here.
No, yeah, that would be
We say
weird.
very far, and I probably say this the most often. Oh, it's quite a ways.
Yeah, but it really is so it's kind of slangy, I guess. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't write this. There
Mm.
are lots of, many more formal ways to write it, maybe in a very informal email,
Yeah,
but it's definitely more spoken English.
agreed. Yeah. Is there another meaning, another way we use this?
Yes. So this exact same phrase, we use it to mean that we made progress. We might say
Ah,
like, we've gotten quite a ways on this project. Means we got a lot done. We made some
yeah.
progress.
Right, I love it. So it's the metaphorical version of swimming.
Exactly.
How far have you swum? Yes. Number 2, a ways to go. So this is looking ahead. How much more do you have to do or to go?
Exactly. Yeah. And this
Mhm.
could be both the metaphorical, right? We've got a ways to go on this project, meaning we've still got a lot of progress to make. Or it could
Mhm.
also be physical distance to say you have a long distance to go.
Mhm. Exactly. I love it. Yes.
You
So
might
we still
say,
you guys
mhm,
so go ahead, Aubrey.
we
Mhm.
still have a ways to go before we get there. So maybe you're on a road trip
Yeah.
across you still have 300 miles. You'd be like, oh, we still have a ways to go.
Yeah, and that does happen on a cross country road trip. I mean, 3,000 miles to go essentially from the East Coast to the West Coast. And, 3 days later, you're still in the desert of Utah or Arizona, and it just feels really long. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And we use
Mhm.
this so often to talk about those distance, right? "Oh, we've come a
Mhm.
long ways. We only have a short way to go," right? It's
Yeah.
interesting how instead of using the word distance, we often will replace it with this more native chunk.
Yeah, this is interesting. And then the third way that our listeners need to know today is if something, again, very similar to number two, right?
Yes.
Something is far away, it's a ways off. Now, this could be in terms of time or it could be distance too, right?
Exactly, right? You could say, the meeting is 30 well, let's see, the meeting is a ways off, and you mean it's, like,
Right.
in 2 months, right?
In
So,
two
yeah, it
months,
could
right?
be
Yeah.
time.
Yes, exactly. Like, I'm thinking, oh, there's this conference I want to go to next summer, but it's still a ways off. So I'm not going to register or book my flight yet, right? That sort of thing. Mhm.
Exactly, and also physical distance, right? You could say, "She lives a ways off. It'll take at least 30 minutes to get there," and that just
Mhm.
means she lives really far.
And be careful. So here's a warning for our listeners.
Mhm.
Don't be confused with the difference between a ways off and way off. Like you're way off. You're completely wrong. Okay?
Exactly, if I say, "Oh, I thought she'd get here at 8, but I was way off." This has nothing to do with distance, right? This
Yeah.
means I was wrong about something.
Yeah, that could be another episode for another day. I mean,
Totally.
not in the same
But they're
ballpark.
so
Okay.
similar, right? So be
Yeah.
be careful, it's amazing how one little letter and it's such a different meaning.
Oh my gosh, now we're not gonna complicate it anymore or anything, but we'll add a fourth.
Right.
We'll add a fourth one, Aubrey. What is it?
And so this is a ways away, which
Oh,
sounds kind
jeez.
of silly and repetitive. It means far away. It is the exact same meaning as a ways off.
Okay.
I grew up saying this a lot. I feel like this might be a little more regional, depending on where someone grew up. They'd be more likely to say a ways away. But I
Yeah,
did find it in some song lyrics. There's an REM song where they say, "We can reach our destination, but it's still a ways away." It means it's
interesting.
still far off.
I think it probably is regional just by nature of the fact that if you're asking someone where something is in a rural area, you're more likely to use that. Oh, that guy's house is down there, but it's a ways away, a ways off. But in the city, you're going to say it's 3 blocks that way and 2 blocks to the west
Good
uptown.
point,
And you know
because
what I mean?
nothing's a ways
Nothing's a
away.
ways away. Is it makes sense that that would come out in more rural living, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? So you might say she lives quite a ways away or she lives a long ways away, and they both just
Mhm.
mean she lives very far away.
All right, nice. Okay, Aubrey, we are going to show our listeners. Hopefully, our listeners are not panicking. It's okay. Don't worry, guys. Just think of it this way: this is added value for your English, right? This is not going to be on any English test, but if you can learn at least one of these today to insert it properly into your commentary, super native and natural, right,
Yes,
Aubrey?
and I feel like we use this so often that I really think this is going to be one of those things that you're going to start hearing now all the time on
Yeah.
podcasts, on TV. Be like,
Mm.
"Oh, I learned about that on All Ears English."
It's a great one. So, here, Aubrey, in this role play, we are on a hike. All right,
Yeah,
type
I'll
one
start us
fun.
off.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Good.
Wow, look at that view. I'm glad we picked this hike even though it was quite a ways. Definitely worth the hour drive.
I agree. Oh, wow. Look at that cave. That would be cool to explore, but it's a ways off.
That is quite a ways away. I think we could make it though. Wanna try?
Let's do it. We better get going. We've got a ways to go. Oh, wow. Okay.
Nice. So we used all of them here. This is one of those would be like, it might be strange to say
Yeah, it would be.
always
Sure.
over and over in the same conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
But this
You
way you
might
get
hear
to
it
hear them
once.
all.
Yeah, you might hear it once in this conversation, realistically, right? So, first
Right.
you said, Aubrey, I'm glad we picked this hike, even though it was quite a ways. Sorry, it was quite a
It's quite a
ways.
ways.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
it just
jeez.
means like it was a long drive, right? We wherever
Yes.
we were living was like, ooh, this hike is an
Yeah.
hour away. I'd be like,
And
oh, that's quite a ways.
yeah, and you could also insert it was quite a ways. It was quite a ways from our house, right? You could say that. Yeah?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly, right?
Yes.
Just
I got
to maybe
confused
if you want
myself
to
for
be
a minute there.
clear,
Yeah.
that's what it means. It was quite a ways. Means it was quite a ways from wherever we were.
Yes, you got it. Okay, what's the next one?
And then you said, "Oh, there's this" so you're looking at a cave in the distance. You say, "That'd be
Mhm.
cool to explore, but it's a ways off." And that just means
Mhm.
it's very far.
Mhm. And then I'm gonna say the same exact thing, but use different words. Ooh, that is quite a ways away. Right? So you're agreeing with me here, right?
Mhm. And I'm
Mhm.
just saying like, "Ooh, that is really far." But it's just
Yeah.
another way to say it. That is a ways away.
Yeah. Good. And then I say, let's do it. We better get going. We've got a ways to go. And that means we have a long way to go. Basically, everything in this conversation is something is far away, right?
Exactly, and a lot of these are pretty interchangeable, right? You could mix one in. The meanings are very similar, and so that makes it a little tricky, but also a little easier to use, right?
Mhm.
If you ever want to say that something's very far, then you could say one of these instead.
Yeah, I like this today because these are the kind of phrases that are going to come up if you're driving in the countryside and you stop again, ask someone for directions, fill up on gas and ask, where's this? Where's that? Oh, it's a ways down the road. This is what
Oh,
someone's
that's a
going to
ways
say.
off.
Right. That's
Totally.
probably with some kind of accent too.
And now
Right.
you'll know what they're saying. You're like, "Oh, okay,
Yes,
I understand. He means it's far."
exactly. Any other takeaway for today, Aubrey?
Yeah, I think these phrases are so native and natural, especially for informal conversations. Like you mentioned, Lindsay, you might not see these written a lot unless
Hmm.
it's like dialogue written out in a book because
Yeah.
it is more about conversational English.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. I hope you guys start noticing them as you're listening to English and definitely use one. Pick one to throw into your conversations.
Yeah, I think noticing them now is your next step. It's your first step. You've heard
Yes.
about them. Now you may notice them and then start to think about, okay, why did that person use it here? I can imagine using it in these scenarios. And then it
Hmm.
starts to come up naturally, right?
Yes,
Love
love that.
it. Love it.
Awesome. So fun. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining me today, Lindsay.
All right. Sounds good, Aubrey. See you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.